Okay, guys. So quick heads up, we will have a full Q&A to come after this class. We're going to dive right in. This is a pricing webinar. It's really more of a masterclass. We want you guys to get as much as possible from this. So chime in, give us your thoughts, ask your questions. Don't be surprised if we save your questions though for after the class. With that said, I don't want to waste your guys' time, so let's get started. I'm going to dive into our little screen sharing thing here. We rehearsed this. I'm getting pretty good. Oh, there we go. Oh. Okay. So this is photography pricing and package design, and this is an excerpt from the Complete Business Training, and this is actually course number 2 of 4. So what you're about to see is photography pricing and product design. The table of contents, well, this is the 4 classes basically, and it goes from creating the business plan to designing the product, pricing the product, how do you market and generate leads, to booking photography clients. Each of these courses is about 8 to 10 hours in length. So we're going to cover a small piece of this and get you guys as much actionable information on pricing as we can within this 40-minute period. Specifically, I want to make sure that when you guys are jumping into the actual course, you guys complete all of this basically prior stuff before jumping into this. Because what we're doing is we're talking about chapter 4 within course 2, and we're going to be doing a few different things in there, but it's important that we first kind of do the pre-work, okay? You'll understand more of that as we get into this, but let's just get into this. All right. With that said, buy my shiz. I'm just kidding. I wanted to announce briefly before we talk about everything, and we'll be chatting more about any questions you guys might have on premium, but just a quick heads up that SRL's premium is going to be jumping to $4.99 per year in price. So this is kind of your last chance to lock in this rate and to be grandfathered in at this price point. Let's talk about the timing of pricing and product design. With this course comes with an entire workbook that basically guides you through the entire starting of your business. And it doesn't matter what type of photography business that is. If it's a client serving business, it applies. That means if you're photographing headshots or newborn or maternity, if you are photographing dogs, I actually had someone ask us that. Is it the same for pet photography? For wedding photography, engagement, yes. The principles and everything in this startup kit applies. So when you jump in, you have this entire workbook. And pricing and product design is something that we will basically start at week 2, work on through week 8 when we're launching our business. And then we're going to adjust and reevaluate on an annual basis. Okay. I understand that there's this ongoing need to look at pricing constantly and to make adjustments. We're going to just dial it in and then make adjustments on a semi-annual or annual basis. So this is the piece that we're kind of working in, and this is just a screenshot of the workbook, but we're kind of working on overall strategy and planning, and we're piecing together what is the product that we're actually going to be creating, and along this process from weeks 2 to 8, we're determining pricing. Now, there's a couple key points in here, and this is where I want you guys to start getting involved. So diving right into defining your product and target market. In this course, we actually tell you we're going to identify your target market persona. This means that for every one of you out there, I want you to think in your heads right now, who is the ideal client that you are looking to market to? Who is the ideal person that's going to be buying your services? Because I want you guys to design your, not only the pricing, but also the overall brand message and the product experience for that specific consumer. Too often we just create a product without really thinking of who's the actual person buying. So let me give you an example of this. Think luxury versus consumer product experiences. I want you guys to, in the chat window, look at these 2 images, one on the left, one on the right. I like cars, so we're going to talk a little bit about cars. So when you're buying one of these cars, and I've removed the logos and stuff for legal reasons, but as you see these 2 different experiences, a lot of you could probably guess which manufacturers these are. But what I want you to actually write down are the differences, or what do you note in like particular about each of these different product experiences. So write down image on the left, lots of blue tones, very cool, kind of corporate. Image on the right, warm. What are some of the other things that you see in these images? Write them down. Shiv is going to shout them out. Okay, I think that's enough time. What do you got? Okay, I'm gonna help you out. What's that? They're participating. They're typing. There's a delay. We have a delay.
Right. We have bright, less cluttered from Lindsay.
I love that, Lindsay. So you're 100% right. On the right side, you have a less cluttered image. And if I was to go into that a little bit more, you have a product, a car that's being displayed more as a work of art than it is as a consumer product, right? It's one car. You walk into the showroom, it's open space. If you look there, there's one little spot for a salesperson to stand. There's one screen to look at. Everything is minimalistic. And in the actual photograph, you see a chair. Basically, there's a seating area for like two people on the right, and there's one little chair or something on the left side. It's a very minimalistic showroom. And the whole purpose behind that is they understand several things. One, their target consumer, the person that's walking into this place, is seeking not really to buy a car per se, but more of a lifestyle, right? You can justify, you can say that everybody needs to get from point A to point B, but this on the right side is a Bentley. I don't think anybody could justify needing a Bentley to get you anywhere. So the product is being displayed as a piece of artwork. They're thinking that there's not going to be a lot of people coming to the showroom. It's going to be very specific. And would any of you dare to walk into that showroom and ask them the price? You can actually respond. Post it. Respond. Would any of you actually dare to walk into that showroom and ask a price? Now, put that in contrast to what you see on the left side. Lindsay said minimalistic on the right. What's going on the left side? On the left side, we see multiple cars. We see multiple kind of working areas and working stations where people can sit down, and you can have groups of people sitting down, and you have tons of different options. Look at the colors and the different options that they're presenting you. A variety of choices. Mix and match. Find anything that suits your personal needs.
So we have people that answered your question.
Yes. What do they say?
They said a lot of no's, a lot of no's. We got no need to ask, you know, it's out of your price range. And then someone said yes, absolutely. So we got a variety of answers.
A variety. So people would walk into the Bentley showroom and ask the price.
We got one person.
One person. Okay. That's probably a fair number of people to like it's just, you assume, like, this is what I want to get across to you guys, is that just as many of you feel that it would be awkward to walk into that showroom and ask the price on the right side, you're right. It would be, because they assume that when you walk into that place, you understand that you're walking into a Bentley showroom. These are $250,000 cars. This is an experience. This is all of this. And you go in asking about, like, well, hey, are the seats made of leather? Damn it, they better be made like $250,000 if those things ain't genuine leather. And if you start asking questions like, well, how much mileage does it get to the gallon? I think you're in the wrong place. In fact, if you're the salesperson, you probably quickly would identify that, hey, this is not my consumer. I'm going to move and put my energy somewhere else. But that's exactly what I want you guys to be thinking of, because on the left side, would you ask price? Would you try and find the perfect fit? Would you haggle? Would you do all those things on the left side? And the answer is probably going to be yes. I want you guys to briefly look at this and give me the same thing. Can you guys guess, by the way, what these two experiences are? What are these two stores? What's on the left and what's on the right? If you guys know the names of these stores or the names of these brands. There's a little bit of a lag. It's called a dancing lag because you fill it with dancing. Just kidding. We're not going to dance. All right. So those of you thinking it, on the left side, if you guys responded,
Yes.
we have
Ross type store on the left, which I think they mean on the right.
Well, it's the reverse, right? So, okay. So yeah, on the right side is Nordstrom Rack. So like a Ross. On the left side, or depending on if it's reversed, is Louis Vuitton. So you can clearly see that Louis Vuitton and Bentley are following the exact same principles. Do you guys think that if you look on the right side and you go and ask somebody at the Ross store or at Nordstrom Rack, hey, do you guys have any more of these in the back? How do they always answer that, Shiv? Oh, really? They always tell me whatever we have is out on the shelves. And I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe it's because I'm a guy.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, what I want to say is on the left side, they absolutely have inventory of these products. Every one of these purses, I'm sure they have 20, 30 of these in stock. They just don't show you. They have them hidden around back in nice little, they probably get them shipped in containers from China or from wherever they're manufacturing them in plastic little baggies. And in the back, once they're shipped and once they're there, they're going to take these out of the baggies. And when you choose to buy one, they're going to go in the back and prepare it. They're going to put it into its box. They're going to wrap it. They're going to spray a little bit of like scent onto it. And they're going to put a box in it. Man, this thing just came out of a crate like less than 24 hours ago inside of a plastic bag, but they're going to bring it out to you like you just bought the most priceless piece of artwork in the world. They're going to make you feel that way. So my point is, if you look at this slide, this is the analysis. On the left side, or with these consumer products, if it's reversed on your side, just think reverse. Oh, it's not. Okay. So on the consumer side, these are needs over wants, right? You have a lot of product choices. You have maximizing the usage of space. You have these products or commodities. The features are prevalently shown. The prices are shown. On the right side, it's not that way. It's want over need. You can't justify the need for a Louis Vuitton bag. You can't justify the need for a Bentley. You have fewer product choices. It's minimalistic in design. The products are presented as a piece of art. Experience values, the experience and the value trumps all features. You're not talking about leather and how much horsepower the car has. I mean, you always talk about horsepower, let's be honest. More power, the better. But you know that those cars come with whatever they want. You get what I'm saying. Prices are concealed. So that said, where does your photography fit into this spectrum? Where does your service as a photographer, fit? Well, your product is a limited resource. It's some form of memories as artwork. It requires highly skilled labor. It's time intensive. It has a high price point. We don't generally we don't make our prices public. In every way, shape, or form, photography is a luxury. It's not a consumer product. I'm going to ask you guys, what does the consumer side of photography look like? The product that everybody can do on their own, what does that look like? It looks like this. Everyone's got this. Most everyone has a decent camera. They have something that can take good pictures. They don't need you to go and do that. They want an experience. Now, the next part of this question is, how many of you have set up your business in a consumer model? So my thought is, why or how would a consumer business model fit a luxury product? If what you're offering is inherently a want more than is a need, how are we defining our business and our pricing strategies and all these different things based around consumer models? Why are we allowing clients to come in and shop a price list? Why are we allowing them to see the features of our product instead of bringing them in and selling them on an experience and telling them, this is the exact product that you need. This is the exact service that you need. In fact, this is all of course 4 is sales and closing. We're going to teach you that sales and closing has nothing to do with sales. It has to do with psychology and simply giving somebody what they already want. And when you do that, it's a beautiful process. It'll make you a better photographer. But let's get back to this. So we sell a luxury product, period. Here's the other reason why we want to be selling a luxury product. And if you guys remember from back in business class, if you guys took Econ 101, raise your hands, figuratively. Like by figuratively, I mean like you either put an emoji down or you write hand raisin, risen. He is risen, hand raisin, raisins. I don't know. But either way, if you took Econ 101, you're going to recognize this. We have a price versus quantity chart. This is a standard market chart, supply versus demand. Okay. So what we have on the left side, we have our price, we have our demand, and where those two lines meet is basically where our price is set. Where supply equals demand, that's where the price is established. Now, with a process that we would refer to as the democratization of production. This means that there's more photographers pushing into this realm. And I hope you guys all understand that on a daily basis, there are more photographers that choose to try their hand at being a professional every single day. Next year, it's going to be even more than last year. If this is a problem for you, you're going to have a problem because it's only going to get worse. Because the tools of creating, the tools of production, that is the process. They're being democratized. They're coming down in price. Everybody can get their hands on something great where they can create. All that they need to do is have a vision and a little bit of knowledge to get there. So it's only going to get worse. When you're working in an environment where really the only difference from product to product and service to service is negligible. Let's say a Honda would get you where you want to go just as much as a Toyota would. Price is a very big factor. So when you insert a whole bunch more photographers, that red line that comes in, you push the supply over to the right. As soon as supply goes to the right and you have that many more people, it drives the price down. Okay. That's one of the reasons we want to offer something that's more of a luxury product. Because there's a certain relative inelasticity. And what that means is basically that an increase in supply doesn't necessarily shift the pricing nearly as much when you're working in a luxury or an inelastic environment. As a luxury product, you can use several different examples of this. So there's certain products that are like necessities, like gasoline, right? Gasoline, salt, alcohol. These are all necessity. I mean, like a lot of people don't need alcohol. I'm just saying that some do, not me personally, but like, anyway, prices of these products doesn't generally change because their needs, people are always buying them. So if unanimously the salt boards of the United States raise the price of salt, everybody would just pay a little bit more for salt. Same thing with gasoline. We've seen that. It doesn't really fluctuate or change demand that much because we all need gas. But luxury products operate in a similar way. And I've included like Apple, for example, because a luxury product generally has a lack of substitutes. So if you want the Apple product or the Apple experience, which I don't know why you would, because I've had a terrible experience. I'm just saying, this little MFR has caused me so, you know what? Not even gonna get there. No, let's just keep going. Regardless, if you want an Apple product, there's a lack of substitutes there. So they can charge a higher price and they'll see less of a drop off in demand. Will they still see some? Sure. But it's relatively inelastic. Same thing with things like diamonds. I mean, a lot of people would think, and there's a lot of studies, that the overall supply of diamonds is ridiculous. It's just controlled and moderated. And so they're constantly keeping that's a different principle. Let's not worry about it. But anyway, if you want a genuine diamond, you're going to pay the money for it because there's a lack of other substitutes for a genuine diamond. If we can put our product into that area, we'll be much better when it comes to, again, why do I tell you guys this stuff? I want you guys to be in a position in your business where you're not getting the question of, yeah, but would you do like $500 less, or would you take $1,500 off? I want you guys to understand a consumer mindset when it comes to setting your prices. And that's why we're covering this, because in setting up your business, if you look at this 4-quadrant setup, a lot of photographers jump into the world of cost leadership. And I'm telling you right now, by competing on price, you might be able to nudge your way into a market just long enough to fail. Meaning you can get people coming in the door, but you can't sustain cost leadership in a luxury product environment indefinitely. So a lot of new studios will close down because they stay on that. They offer a price so low that they just can't keep delivering that product over time. They realize it's not that profitable. So either their prices will go up or they'll suddenly go out of business. Either way, for you guys, it shouldn't matter, because if their prices go up, they're going to be competing with a higher price point. They're going to be offering a product that is at a higher price point like you, or they're going to go out of business. But they're worrying about these people that are undercutting you should not be your priority. So Cost leadership is like Kmart photos, Walmart photos, all of these, there's Bella weddings. They've all gone out of business. Maybe Walmart photo is still around, but they're not profitable businesses to operate on because I could take better pictures on my iPhone and I don't have to be in front of a 16-year-old taking awkward pictures with a Rebel and a flash blasting in my face and, watching them put my kids into all sorts of awkward poses. And you understand what I'm saying? It's not a good place to be. So this is that cost leadership or cost focus. These are big red flags and warning areas. And what I would say is they're good places to start just to get a few people in the door. And then you got to move over to differentiation or focus differentiation. Differentiation means you're offering a product that's unique. It's different. And I'm going to talk about that in a second because a lot of photographers think your product is unique when in reality it's not. Or focus differentiation it's like a niche of a niche where you have Nordstrom's, but then you have Saks Off Fifth. And those are two different classes of kind of luxury consumers that shop at each of these places. So a larger boutique studio like Lina Jirsa would be a differentiated model. Whereas a smaller boutique studio that's maybe a ma and pa shop that focuses on specifically film and fine art portraiture, that's focus differentiation. It's a beautiful place to be because there's even less competitors. There's even less people in that space that can fight for the market that you're going for. Okay, this is something that, this is a random slide. Yeah, that's Christina Blandarovich, one of my friends. She's my, oh my goodness, we got to talk about economy face. Economics, not economy. That's a whole other issue. Anyway, Justin said competitive advantages predicated on price can be copied overnight. This is one of my partners, and he's absolutely right. If you're thinking of like, well, I'm going to start a business in photography, and guess what? I can do it for less than this other person. It's not a sustainable strategy. You might be able to get a few clients. It's not going to work in the long run. People can copy that very easily. All right, so we understand the relative inelasticity of luxury products. Great. Apple, Tesla, Bentley, Rolls-Royce. If you want substitutes for each of these products, there's really not that many. So you're stuck paying the price that they're asking for. And that's what I'm going to put you guys into, is I want your clients to essentially want you so much, the price isn't really going to matter that much. Okay, so we want our position. Oh, wait. Yes.
How can I make to see one possible customer? How can I make a customer see the difference in quality if they are not educated to see it? Do headshots and lights? They're obviously better for passport photos, but some people it's harder for them to see that.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question. And I actually wanted to cover that too. So I appreciate you asking that question. Who asked that? Alfonso. Thank you. I want to jump back to this because I want you guys to understand this from a very, very basic mindset. Raise your hand if you can tell the difference between these two experiences. Raise your hand if you can tell the difference between these two experiences. I'm hoping most of you can probably tell the difference between those two experiences. The reason here that you can tell the difference is because it's a dramatically different experience. You're comparing an apple to an orange, and that's a difference that we can see. It's a difference that we can understand. The problem that photographers have is that we find ourselves comparing oranges to oranges because we are an orange manufacturer. We know sun-kissed oranges better than anybody, and we know what makes a sun-kissed orange, and therefore we can't believe it when our clients go and buy oranges off the shelf for cheaper because, oh my gosh, it's not sun-kissed, it's not nearly as plump and juicy, it's not near. That's not what the consumer mindset sees. They don't interpret it the same way because they are not in the industry of that, of whatever it might be, in this case, oranges. So we have to give them something that they can differentiate. And that's not talking about your lighting, the way that you post-produce. If your image in and of itself can't set itself apart from another person's image, talking about it isn't going to, okay? saying that you shoot on 30 megapixel cameras, or talking about, you shoot raw and you process, if they can't just as visibly see the difference as we can in these examples, to them there is no difference, except in the intangibles, in other areas of the experience. This is why we're going to go into a concept called the wave in course 4. In sales and closing, we talk about the wave. It's the wall art vision exercise that we've developed. And it's a psychological process of identifying what a client most values, showing that understanding of what they value, presenting it back to them, and presenting the vision of what you're going to create for them. Because that process of identifying what the client values, speaking their language, showing that you can relate to them, that is a competitive advantage that everybody can recognize. But it has nothing to do with talking about the lighting or how it was shot. It has to do with you understanding them from a psychological level and speaking their language, so to say. Because when they go and they compare, they're going to look at the images, and here's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to see 2 sets of images and go, man, I really like both their photographs. I think they're both good. And in your head, you're like, but damn it, photographer B puts all sorts of crappy A filters on their photos, and they don't do this, and they don't light right, and they don't do this, or they're just, or maybe they're too dramatic, and I'm natural light, and I go for authenticity, and they can't even see that, and I can't. No, just stop that whole process. What they can see is that other piece of the experience. They might not be able to see the difference in the photographs, and if that's the case, that's okay. But what they will say is, I like both of their photographs. But when Samantha took us through, do you remember that thing that she did? I think she called it the wave or something. She goes, I felt like she knew exactly what we wanted. She knew down to the T the photograph that I most want. Nobody else has even asked that question. Nobody else has even worked to understand us. That is something they can tell the difference between. So that's where I want to get you guys to. And at that place, you've set yourself up for an inelastic product. The entire Business Complete Workshop series is to basically design and create that luxury product and service. Pricing is just a piece of it. Okay. I'm hoping that answered the question. I want to jump over here. So obviously, where do you want your product positioned? It's a luxury product. And this is the thing. It's a focused luxury product, right? One of the questions that we always get as new photographers come in the industry is, I want to serve all clients. I don't want to leave opportunities on the table. I don't want to focus on just one kind of work, because what if someone comes in, they want to pay me to do something else? This is something that's been repeated so many times it should be familiar to you. I want to show you what that looks like from an artistic standpoint. There's a case study called Kumar and Melamed. This is the most wanted painting, where Kumar and Melamed basically did this case study around the world, where they did a survey for every country, and they asked hundreds of people in each of these countries to describe what made the perfect piece of artwork or the perfect painting. And for the United States, we came up with blue skies and clouds, and it's got to show nature, and it's got to have trees in it. And you know what? Deer are awesome. And we're patriotic. So a lot of people said, I'm patriotic. Some just said George Washington. I don't know. But this is literally that photograph. Oh yeah, and we're a country of family values. So we need to show off our family values and our diversity clearly by the brown people on the bottom right of the shot, whereas there's white George Washington standing there. So we need to show like this is art by democracy. This is art by committee. Would anybody buy this and put this on the wall of your home? If any of you raise your hands right now, this is me reaching through the camera to slap you. Nobody wants this. And if you look at each country, what's unique is that every country has their own unique take on the perfect piece of artwork, yet nobody would actually want that. And this is what you're trying to do when you're aiming to please everybody. I love Ed Sheeran. So he said, I can't tell you the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everyone. So that's why I want you guys to focus. Let's pick a niche, pick a subject. It could be just pet photography. It could be weddings, and inside of weddings, you could have a sub niche of just film. That's it. That's all you do. Film weddings. Either way, at least start with a subject niche. Weddings, pets, maternity, newborn. That is a good enough focus. But don't try and do Hey, come to me because I do headshots and I do corporate and I do editorial shots. Oh, and I also do weddings and I do engagements. And I pretty much will do anything. If you have a car that you need photographed, I'm going to take pictures of that too. And hey, are you selling your home? Because if you're selling your home, I can come in and take some really great pictures of your home so you can sell it even better. I feel like I should talk in Bobby Joe's accent when I say that part. No? Maybe. Okay. So finally, number 2, or chapter 2. Product design that motivates the sale, pricing and package design and psychology. This is why you guys are here. Okay. So we're actually in weeks 2 through 5, we're really defining out the product. We're choosing our segments that we're going to be focusing in. We're defining who the target market is. We're doing all the legwork for creating the product. Now in weeks 5 through 8, we're actually putting together these packages. So there's some quick fears and myths that I do want to get through. False. I can't charge what I can't afford. This is ridiculous. How many people do you think that work at a Honda dealership could buy a Honda when they first start? Or how many people that work at Bentley can actually buy a Bentley or Louis Vuitton? It's dumb. It's something that we have to each get over ourselves. Like, just because you can't afford the price that you're charging doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing it. I don't understand why that's a mentality or mindset, but I'm sure some of you have heard this before. At any price point, I'm a value for what I offer my clients. This is true. This should absolutely be true. You should always be a value. Now, that doesn't mean that other photographers think you're a value. It means that your clients think that you're a value for what you give them, and that includes your overall experience. Take this workshop and you can book $10,000 weddings. That couldn't be more false. This workshop will help you to get there, but there's nobody that can promise those types of things. What I can say is I'm going to help you build a successful business. This course will help you to get to $10,000 wedding bookings. That's true. Clients won't pay that in my area. I have it true here. Because if you believe it, it's kind of the case. If you walk into a sales and negotiation meeting and you think that you're not worth the price that you're charging, that's going to come through. If you think the client in that room is not going to pay the price, it's going to come through in your body language and the way that you speak, everything. Okay, this is what I want you guys to think about for just a moment. We all buy luxury in the areas that we individually value. Think about that for a second. You might value travel, and on travel, you spend a good amount of money. You might value shoes. Justin loves shoes. He has lots of shoes. He's kind of cheap though, so he looks for deals everywhere. Let's be honest. It might be clothes. It might be experiences. There is some area in your life, maybe it's electronics, that's what it is for me, but there's some area in your life where you're willing to pay a luxury price for that product because you value it. This is exactly the mindset that you need to understand, because what you're trying to do is demonstrate your value for a client and show them so that they will buy luxury because they value the product and service that you're creating for them. Clients that don't value it, they're not the client that you're looking for. There's only one right way to price. Oh, that's so false. Okay, so let's talk about designing the overall services and packages. First question is, this is always the first question, what should I sell? And my question back is, what do you want to sell? Okay, so we're going to start with what we would refer to as an MVP, or a minimum viable product. So, and from a photography perspective, I want you to think of the MVP as the minimum product that you love. Meaning, if you need 1 hour to create a wonderful engagement session product, like let's say 1 hour of shooting time to create a wonderful engagement session product, don't make your engagement session packages start at 30 minutes, because then you have to upsell. And when you have to upsell, you feel sold too. So this is where, for those of you that will be looking into the course, I want you guys to look at the competition, because earlier in the series, we actually put together a full competitive analysis where we compared our product to that of our competitors. It's important in that process to be completely 100% objective. We all love our own work, okay? I understand, I get it. But as much as it's possible to be objective, when you do that comparison between you and your competitors, try and look at it from a consumer's perspective and compare what a consumer would see so that you can understand how they're viewing your product. Not from, oh, well, I put them into this pose and I used 100% pure natural light. It was completely organic. I use only organic natural light in my photographs. That should be a thing. I'm gonna make a T-shirt that's like 100% organic natural light only. Anyway, so we have that competitor analysis done, and we're going to reference it because if your competitors are offering, let's say for an engagement session, you look and you see most competitors in your area are offering a 2-hour session, you generally don't want to be designing your MVP to be less than that, right? Because if everybody's doing one thing and you're offering less, that's a very easily differentiated subject for a client. So what we want to be doing is saying, okay, what is the MVP that we want to create? What are other people in this industry, in this competitor group? By the way, choosing a focus, yeah, it's important because it's going to dictate who are your competitors. If you choose to focus on 5 different areas, you have hundreds of them, hundreds of competitors to look through. So we look and we see, okay, well, personally, I love our engagements to be a 3-hour session. I want them to include a canvas or piece of wall art and the digital files. That's the product that I want. Okay. That's the product that I want to deliver. And when I look online, it's either at or above what most people are offering. So that's a great place for an MVP. It's what I want. Now, some of you might say 3 hours, that's ridiculous. Great. Adjust it. Make it yours, right? So if you say, I only like to do one location, just a few shots for their engagement, I want to do an IPS. We'll talk about IPS in a little bit. But I want you guys to make it your MVP. So our wedding MVP is 8 hours, 2 shooters, an assistant, an album, and the digitals. Okay. Notice that like you can either have an album in here or not have an album in here. But if you want every client to walk away with an album, you better put it in the package because otherwise 30% of your clients will walk away with albums because they don't need it. You've just said that they don't need it. So if you include a smaller album, it's far better than including none and expecting them just to buy an album later on. So whatever you want them to have, include a version of that in the MVP because it's far easier to upgrade and to make the psychological and mental leap to paying a few $100s more than just outright buying another album for $1,500. Okay. This is a typical IPS portrait model, and I want you guys to understand this because I see people confusing these things all the time, and this is a decision that can tank your business. Mixing a upfront service model with a IPS service model. They're 2 very different things. Here's what I'm saying. On the wedding side, we're charging our clients, associates might be between $4,000 to $6,000, and any of the partners are between 8 and 10 as a starting place. Most of our packages end up between the 10 to 15, and a lot of our partner packages end up in the $25,000 range. When clients are spending that kind of money, and it's not even 4,000, it's really just above a couple thousand, 1,000, 2,000. That's enough. That's enough money to spend to kind of want to be done spending. When a client spends $10,000 or $15,000 or $25,000 on a package, they're expecting you as the luxury service to be giving them what they want and need for that experience. It's built in. They're not expecting to come back and spend more money on the backside. I see photographers mixing these 2 models all the time. They go, I'm going to book $6,000 weddings and I'm going to do IPS and I'm going to sell another $2,000, $3,000 in wall art. Okay, there might be a few clients that buy off on this, but it's difficult because you're mixing strategies and generally clients are going to feel sold to when they will have expected that, well, the 6,000 was supposed to be what we needed. Why are you selling us more stuff now? Those are hard sells. They're positions that as an artist, you don't ever want to be in because it feels like being a salesperson. On the flip side, the way that an IPS portrait model works is that there's a small nominal fee, $149 to $249, that maybe includes 0 up to 10 images that they can walk away with, and that's it. And you have their viewing session immediately after where you can capitalize on the kind of emotional high that they come off of from the shoot, and you're expecting them to book $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in additional sales if it's possible. but they're set up for it from the start. There's a lot of things. The entire course will teach you how to set up for it, but there's a lot of things that have to happen along the way to get them prepared for that. But these two things generally aren't mixed. You don't charge $3,000 for a portrait session and then expect the client to come in and spend another $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on wall art. One caveat and workaround with that is to, if you're going to charge a higher amount for your portrait session, to include some of the high-end artwork in that package already. Again, you're thinking back to, well, you talk about MVP. This is literally that. It is the minimum viable product, the product that you want each client to have. Because if they spent $2,000, but they got a nice 4-piece wall art display for their home, first they have something that says, hey, this is beautiful and I want more of these. They have an example of it living in their home. They can see it and they can appreciate it. Then they're more likely to come back and buy more of those because you've already included one and there was something that they walked away with. But if they're walking away with just the digitals, they're going to walk away with the expectation that they can do their own printing. Okay. There is so much in the realm of IPS to talk about that we can't cover it all here. Okay. So from the MVP, you're going to then add more. So you're going to basically say, okay, here's package 1, here's package 2, and here's package 3. And you're going to design these as package 1 is your MVP, package 2 is your desired sell, package 3 is your price anchor. I'm going to describe what that means. But this is a quick sample set of what our 3 packages look like. And I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. So if you guys want to pause on it and look at it, go ahead, pause the video when you watch the actual downloaded video. Oh, you have the slides. There you go. Just look at the slides. So remember, it's not an MVP if they have to upgrade. You're upselling, okay? The only reason we all love buying them bigger fries at McDonald's is because it comes with fries to begin with. We just want more of them tasty suckers. They're really good. I love. Okay, hands up if McDonald's fries are the best fries. Either McDonald's or Red Robin. But those are 2 different classes of fries. One is a steak fry, one's a, skinny fry. Anyway, fresh though, of course. If you guys have any other fries that you really dig, post them. I'm gonna go eat some. Okay, so the desired product that you want to sell, like if it's wall art, if it's albums, it needs to be in the first package. At least some version of it needs to be in that first package. Otherwise, they'll feel like, well, you just told them that they don't really need it. You literally spelled it out for them right on your display. Yeah, you don't really need it. Okay, well, I'll just do it later. And we know what that means. Okay, so our base packages, these are the base packages. And if you're curious from a pricing standpoint, you guys can use these as a guide, not necessarily as a template, just because this is our price based on our area, our target market, everything is based on our studio setup. But we are an upfront service model. So our engagement sessions are $2,200 and our weddings are $8,500. Guess what? What we did was we took the average of, hey, if we did a $149 or $249 engagement session and we on average sold $3,000, $4,000 sometimes, and maybe we sold $500 and $250 sometimes, and maybe sometimes we didn't sell anything at all. If we took the average of that, what would that be? Oh, it's around $2,200, $2,500. So why not just charge that up front and let the clients do what they want to do? That was our approach. Do you think we researched it? Yeah. We tried it? Yeah. It's easier for our studio and the model that we have inside of our studio to run an upfront model versus try to make more on the back end. That's just us. But I can teach you all about IPS because we've done it a lot. So our weddings is, again, an upfront service model. It includes our 10 hours wedding day, lead and second shooter, lighting assistant. It has a signature wedding album and the high resolution images. Again, we love it when clients buy more prints from us, but they're paying enough for our service upfront that we don't need that to rely on. Okay. I want to say be careful with what more established professionals are charging. That should be a given, but that's why I kind of put that after this, just because I don't want you guys to price yourselves out of business. If you're looking at this and you're just getting started, jump into the complete course. It's going to save you guys tons of time. The complete course will make you tens of thousands of dollars over your career. It'll make you that in your first year. But just be aware of just quickly jumping to a price point that someone else is charging when they've been doing it for far longer. And Shiv has a question from one of the community.
All right. So Karen is asking if the course is appropriate for business photographers or just not for business consumers.
That's an amazing question. So Karen's asking, is the business designed for business to business photography or business consumer? Wonderful question. I would say probably the majority of the course is designed for any kind of like, when it comes to, this is a really good question, because when it comes to like the marketing side, a lot of the principles in SEO, and will it still be worth the price of admission? Yes, absolutely. But there's a lot of the course, and we specifically say that the course is primarily, it's all for business to consumer. So your end client is somebody seeking portraits versus an agency. Or does that make sense? Because if it's an agency, the approach to marketing to an agency is quite a bit different. SEO is similar. You just change the keywords up. You know, business and sales is very similar. There's a lot of pieces that are very similar, and probably 70% you can take the course and apply it to that model, but you'll be missing the like 20, 30%, you know, that's specifically for business to consumer, basically. So portrait clients. I love that question, though. I don't want you guys to jump into it thinking that, oh, we're going to teach you how to book commercial gigs, because commercial gigs are very different in the way that you pitch them. In commercial work, you're generally pitching to agencies and creative directors, and you're presenting things like a good, better, best. This course doesn't cover those types of topics. All right. Okay. So I want you guys to make all of your pricing and business decisions very calculated, very tactical. And I'm going to give you 3 pricing methods. Again, first things first is understanding our competition. We're looking at direct competitors. These are people that are within our niche and also within our quality. And what we want to do is compare and look at their starting and average rates. Oftentimes we can find this online. When they post online, we do it ourselves. We say like clients typically spend between, or we say packages starting at. It gives you a great number that you can kind of back of the hand math, kind of work your way into. Back of the napkin, not back of the hand, whatever. Backhand, I just confused them. English is like my 4th language. Huh. I'm just kidding. Humble brag. I'm kidding. English is my 1st language. I just suck at it. Okay, so 3 pricing methods. Cost. Remember how I said this is a place for you guys to start? I think it's a great place to start. I just think you need to get yourself out of it very quickly. So we have cost, then we have demand, which we're going to adjust with growth, and then we have luxury, which is really more about brand perception. And it comes with brand perfection. Ha. It rhymed. I like rhymes. Rhymes are nice. So here's the cost method. What's up?
You gotta get out of that screen share.
Ah, you got it. She's got it. She's got it for me. Hey guys, nice to see y'all again. Welcome to cost method. Okay, so cost method is basically figuring out like, well, it's pretty simple. What are the base, we would say like a variable cost. And by the way, this is where being a CPA and former public accountant helps a lot. But we look at a variable cost and we'd say, okay, my total cost with gas and with food and with everything to do whatever shoot it is $200. Okay. That's the cost that I have to spend out of pocket. Then we look and say, okay, well, what amount of money do we want to make on an hourly basis? Well, I'd like to make at least like, let's say, $30 an hour, and it's an 8-hour day. So I want to make at least $240. And usually you'll build in, it'd be really funny if my math was wrong, but I'm good. Okay. But the next thing is, okay, well, and maybe I want to build in a margin. So let's say that we have a margin of like, $250 or something like that. Or you can make it a percentage, whatever you'd like. So it gives us a total price of, okay, if I'm going to start out and I'm going to do a wedding, just getting my feet wet, trying to get a few gigs here and there, then I'm going to jump into this at $690. Yes? No, I'm pretty sure it's $690. Okay. I'm just waiting for you guys to like laugh and say, no, it's not $690. So this is a great starting point to get your feet wet. Would I recommend it if you've been in the industry for 3 years and you're, trying to make a name for yourself? No. I would say if you're just starting out and you're saying, okay, well, look, I just need a few clients just to get some experience. I need to, these are people that are going to be paying something. It's worth my time, but they're not going to be paying so much. They're going to have very high expectations, or, I'm going to be able to deliver a value based on what I'm charging. Remember, deliver value based on what I'm charging. Then perfect. Let's start you here. Should you offer free shoots to wedding clients? Generally, not really. People don't really value what's free, but we've done one, maybe two, but both those cases were cases where we stood to get a lot from it. They were early on in our career. We actually had a chance to do some kind of A and B list celebrity weddings, and they didn't charge, but we're like, okay, well, for namesake, that makes sense. But generally, you want them to pay something. I don't care if it's $100, $250, $500. Ask them to pay something because they value what they pay for. Okay, but this is a great starting place. And you're like, but Pi, now everybody's going to come in and undercut me, and I'm charging like $4,000. Well, guess the freak what? If you're charging $4,000, should you be worried about somebody coming in and charging $700? No, because they have two options. They're either going to land a few clients and realize very quickly that, hey, I'm getting better. I need to charge more because I'm not making a lot of money doing this. Or they're going to say, hey, this isn't for me, and they're going to be done. But either way, that's not one of your direct competitors. It's not a competitor at all. You offer a very different product and a very different service. Clients can see that just from the perceived value in your price points. Should you worry? No. Okay. Cost method, simple. This is our great little starting place. Question.
So it makes sense to keep pricing variable when you're starting out, especially with wedding photography as it ranges in hours of coverage.
Does it make sense to keep pricing variable? So while I'm answering that, can you flip the slides back up? I would say, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by variable. You know, you generally want to keep the price points on your website kind of at one price. Usually if you're just starting out, you go with a cost-based method. Say, you know, wedding starting at $1,000. Generally start a little bit higher than what you're going to be asking for, just because people will want to bargain. So from 1,000, you're going to work to 1,500 eventually, to 2,000, but you don't want those prices to kind of be fluctuating constantly, because you need to think about the client life cycle, right? A client books you, and then let's say that process, they've booked you, and then 3 months later, their shoot is here, and it takes another 2 months. They're in your process for a good 4 or 5 months, maybe on average, okay? During that time, if they see your price going up and down on your website, they're going to be pretty pissed off. They're going to see, man, we got you at $1,200, but now you're at $1,000. What's the deal with that? Now, it's never a bad idea. Like if there's a client that you want to book and you just you're hurting for business, you want to get, like you have the price on your website at 1,000, but maybe you say, hey, look, I'm going to give you guys I'm going to give you guys $200 off, but I'd ask that you don't tell anybody about this because it's something I can't honor going forward. You're better off doing that. That's how you keep your prices variable, but it doesn't change on your website. It doesn't change publicly. You just control it from that perspective. All right. So demand and environment. This is where I want you guys to work into within basically like a year or two of operating your business. So it's a simple exercise, and we're going to create a simple little graph. I know you guys have that expression on your faces of, oh my goodness, a graph, but it's going to be very simple. Yeah. It doesn't really matter which one of these axes is what. So let's just say that this is quality, and let's say that this is price. So we did that competitor analysis, and we looked at direct competitors for this specific reason. You have your direct competitors, and let's say each of those direct competitors, they kind of fall into this range where their quality is like right here. They're good. And they're offering this price point where they're kind of all hovering around, let's say 4,000, 5,000. Well, let's say 4,000. This is your $4,000 to $5,000 range. Okay. 4 to 5K. And you've got one competitor that's right here. And this is, you're just plotting basically their level of quality and their price point. And there's another competitor that's like right here, but this is close enough that, you know, clients really can't tell the difference. And you got another one that's like right here. Another one's right here, right here. Okay. You're going to notice that when you do your competitor analysis, you'll see these areas fall in line where there's basically like a cluster of people, and you'll see them all over. You're going to see a cluster over here. Okay. You're going to see a cluster maybe on this side where their prices are high, but their quality is not that great. What I want you to do is actually circle these clusters, and I want you to aim outside of them. It's very simple as a concept. Okay. So if they're around this range of the $4,000 to $5,000 range, there's a sweet spot like right here where you can just dial in at like, hey, prices starting at 3.7K. The product is negligible in their mind, but the price is noticeable. So you're outside of that entire group. Hey, it's a great place to be. There's also something called perceived value, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But I'm hoping that that makes sense. So look for these clusters and just aim directly outside of a cluster. As long as you're in a grouping where the product, where a consumer cannot differentiate your product. That's why we talked about that earlier. And I'm grateful for that question because I would have forgotten to talk about it. As long as the consumer can't really differentiate the product, all they can see is a price difference. And if you're just a hair outside of that cluster, you're good. You're golden. And guess what? A lot of these are going to upsell and you're going to get more anyway from them once they get in the door. Our packages start at 4, but most of our clients are spending upwards of 10 to 12 when they come through because we say, oh, you know what? You really want to partner. Or, oh, you know what? You're really going to want this. We recommend them to the place that fits what they're looking for. But we need to get the leads. And this is how you're going to generate those leads in your pricing strategy. Yes, back to slides. Does that make sense? I'm hoping you guys are getting a good amount of value from this.
We have some questions, but we are we're an hour in right now. So
Yeah, so let's get through a little bit more. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is luxury method of pricing. This is where you're really setting up a symbolic or perceived price. And so let me just take a look. Actually, Shiv, do you mind throwing up the screen again so I can, the video? So this was price. And this is going to be the funniest thing because all of you are going to fall into this because we all fall into it. So the perception behind luxury pricing is there's a couple things. One, we're going to basically limit our bookings. So I'm going to say take on 10, maybe up to 20 bookings. And I'm going to be very publicly visible about that. I'm going to say, hey guys, bookings are limited. I only take on 10. 2018 is completely booked. 2019 is almost full. You know, if you guys have any interest, inquire now. In reality, maybe you decide to take on a few more. It doesn't really matter. But you are aiming for a very small number. And you're going to say, well, you know what? I really want those to be $10,000 bookings or maybe $20,000 bookings. I don't know. But my aim is to, let's say, my aim is to make $250,000 a year in revenue. Therefore, if I were to doing $10,000 weddings, I would need 25 of them. Okay. So you're basically taking that and you're dividing by 25. Now, there's something interesting that happens in our minds as consumers when we see this. If I say that this is $10,000 for a wedding package, my prices start at $10,000. Psychologically, in a consumer's mind, what do they do with the perceived value or quality of the product? They kind of pump it up, right? They kind of go, oh man, he or she is charging that much. Their quality must be like through the roof. They must be up here. This is the luxury pricing method. Generally, it takes establishing your business for several years before you're able to transition from a demand approach to a luxury approach. So here's how I want you guys to work in the kind of life cycle of, I'm just getting into this. It's my first year and I need to get people busting through my door to like book me because I have no experience whatsoever. Cost method. I'm a year and a half to 2 years in and I'm starting to get to the point where I'm overbooking. Perfect. Switch to demand. Start raising prices to basically make that demand and supply meet at some sweet spot. Then you're 4 or 5 years into this and you've developed a great name. People seek you out. Clients are willing to spend more. Now you're not even caring what everybody else is doing anymore. You're just setting a perceived value of $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 starting points. You're not expecting to get everybody. You're expecting for that Bentley showroom. Remember? You have one thing on display. You're expecting one person to come through the door. You don't need a lot of people coming in and out. Just a few, and you're good. Okay, let's put the slides back up. It is hot in here, man. Just me? I do have a sweater on. Okay. So honestly, when it comes to luxury pricing, the goal is to be higher than your competition, greater than or at least equal to, because in the mind of a consumer, they go, oh man, this guy's charging 10 and this one's only 8. They must not be as good. They can't tell the difference in the quality. They can't tell the difference in the images at that point. They're just perceiving value based on price. It is virtually impossible to jump straight to a luxury pricing model. This means every single course and business and book and everyone out there that's saying, I'm going to guarantee you're going to book $10,000 weddings, or I'm going to help you to do that right now and you're going to do it tomorrow, they're kind of pulling your leg a little bit, because to go from just starting your business to charging $10,000 is maybe a model that worked for 1 or 2 people. I don't know, maybe because their perception, their experience, maybe something was of value and they were able to make their business succeed. But the vast majority of us, it's going to be impossible to jump straight from cost to luxury pricing. So work your way there. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to mention before we go over to, I think we're going to Facebook Live, right? We're going to do a Facebook Live and answer questions, was kind of the point of package 1 versus 2 versus 3. So 1 was the minimum viable product. This is the product we want every client to walk away with. Package 2 is actually what you are going to be selling the most of. You want to put into this package kind of the ideal that a client walks away with. And package 3 is what we would call a price anchor. Here's how a price anchor works. Best way to sell a $1,000 purse is to put it next to a $10,000 watch. Okay, so a price anchor works by saying, well, this isn't a good example. What's a good example? This laptop is $3,000. That seems expensive. It seems really, really expensive until, let's say, Apple puts their flagship laptop right next to it, and the flagship one is $6,000, has all the upgrades, all the bells and whistles, has everything. And then you're like, you know what? 3,000 is actually quite a bit more reasonable. That's the psychological process that we go through, and we back our way through. When we see that, we kind of go back to that middle price and say, actually, that's quite a bit more reasonable. And we look at the minimum and go, yeah, that's not quite what I want. And we always land 80, 90% of the time in that center sweet spot of the desired sell. So this is the purpose of a price anchor, is you're going to have plenty of clients that go, oh, I want the best package. That's going to happen all the time. So in your price anchor package, you want to put things in there that clients actually want. Don't just build it up for the sake of building it up, because then people will be like, oh, that's stupid. It doesn't come with anything I want in it. Make it good. But the purpose of it is to really get people to see the value and the reasonability in that middle package. Okay. There's a couple things I would advise against. One is like using terms like bronze. I also don't like terms like gold. If you're going to give your packages a name, give them a name that people actually want, right? If you think about it, nobody wants a bronze medal. Like, if you won a bronze medal, you probably wouldn't go online and like start advertising it unless it was like a world Olympic bronze medal or something. But we generally don't want that. So pick a name that actually fits. And we're going to start package 1 at, let's say, $2,000, and it has a $500 album credit. Why? Because maybe I don't want to give them an album. Maybe I want to give them a reason to get one. Again, don't go with silver, but consider the jump as you're going from package 1 to package 2. So now this has a signature wedding album, okay? And what you want to think about is, can clients actually make that jump? 50% is a pretty significant jump. So we went from 2,000 to 3,000. Pretty significant. But there's also a lot of added value in that signature wedding album. There's a lot of added value in the 8 hours versus 6 hours. You know, we have full resolution images. There's a lot of value there, and you can say, okay, that'd be very justifiable to make. Now, usually with the package 3, the price anchor, we want like a 200% price jump, something significant, something bigger. Okay. So we're doubling up essentially 200%, 100% price jump. We're essentially doubling up, and we're going to include like 2 parent duplicate albums. We're going to include additional hours. These are all things that they would want. They're going to want duplicate albums because parents are going to want their own albums. I'm not just saying, hey, I'm going to give you 20 hours of wedding coverage, because they're going to go, well, I don't need 20 hours of wedding coverage. I only need like 12. So can we just reduce the price? They're going to play that immediate mind game of like trying to back you down as soon as they see something that they don't want inside of that package. So we aim to create a package 3 that is kind of includes the world of things that they would actually want. The purpose of which is some will book that package. Most will simply go back to the middle and say, hey, this is the best value. This is what I really want. Okay. So again, I'm going to reiterate that the goal is always delivering a product that is a value at each price point. And it's a value that a client considers when they walk away from the experience. And that value is not just in the images. Such a big thing that we talk about constantly throughout this entire training system is that you have to understand that we're developing an experience, and the experience itself is as much a part of the product, if not more, than the actual photographs that they're getting. All right. So that was actually just a small snippet of chapter 4 from course 2 of a 4-series complete business training. Hopefully you guys have had your questions submitted. I hope you guys have gained a good amount of information. I hope this was very valuable for your time. And to reiterate that the price for premium is going to be going up to $4.99 soon. So this is a great chance to, again, get it locked in. And once you are locked in that rate, you'll be locked in for life. So as long as you keep your membership, you won't have to go back to the $4.99 rate. So as we launch all the existing complete trainings, the price points will go up on those as well, but they can be purchased and downloaded individually as well if you guys don't want to do like a membership type thing, a subscription membership. That is it. Should we kick out of here? All right. Okay. I hope you guys had a good time. Now, Shiv, you're going to post a link to jump over to Facebook Live? Very cool. Very cool. Let's head over to Facebook Live then. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys there. Follow the link. Join us for Q&A. We're going to answer as many questions as we possibly can in the next probably like 30 minutes. Let's do it.